Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm back. I'm going to try to do a little video, touch on a little topic that I had in mind due to some current events. Good morning, guys. I'm in my grind, dropping off my not my little ones, but my young ladies and, my young men in their respective schools, Like I said, once September hits, it's time to do daddy-o responsibilities and chores, 24/7. Shout outs to my boy K Mega 405 from Intro Media Gaming and GRG Podcast. Wonderful human being. Love the guy. Really nice. He's a gamer at heart. Loves what he does. A lot of people don't really understand where he comes from, but he has a really nice natural style, to himself because he carries himself very well, and has a big heart for the most part. That's the most important thing. It's a good guy. Shout outs to him because he did a good ass video. Excuse my language, but he did a very good video talking about the absurdities of when games being canceled, when we really don't know the quality of the game or how it's going to be, or if it was going to be good to begin with. And it's funny, because people keep on trying to say, oh, Microsoft canceled this or Microsoft canceled that, when it's the same thing on the Sony camp. It's just that people just don't point it out and talk about it because we all remember deep down from Capcom that was talked about being highly regarded as an exclusive that was going to be a action RPG or an action hack and slash dungeon, in the dungeon medieval time era. And that game changed and it was going to be a free to play, and nobody ever talked about it ever again. And it's still nowhere to be found. And some other titles that I can't remember off the top of my head, but that they mentioned or shown and never got to it, just like they did with, The Last Guardian. It took them 9 years to bring it out. And when it came out, the game is really not a really great piece of work or body of work, if you will. That didn't even take advantages of none of the PlayStation 4's advantages the way that it was supposed to or that it could, using the same old engine and things like that. But that's neither here or there. And it's funny because one of the hottest or one of the most popular games this generation has been something like The Witcher 3, when it's funny how The Witcher 1 and 2 been on PC, and then 2 was also available on 360 last generation. I remember the only people that really played Witcher 2 were Xbox 360 dudes, and they said, oh yeah, The Witcher 2 is a really good game. And people were like, we don't need that. That's corny. On the PlayStation side and the Nintendo side or whatnot. Yet now, because Witcher 3 obviously became a multi-plat, and it came out at a time where everybody was thirsty, there was nothing else really to play, it really hit home and resonated with gamers. And people and gamers are like, oh my God, Witcher 3, when it's your, basically a grandiose, typical action RPG. The best, difference being that, it's very well thought out with a lot of story, gameplay, boss fights, but it's still, heavy on the grind, which for me, grinding, going back and forth just to get and acquire, let's say, a sword can be very boring or can become very tedious, just like anything. So I really don't gravitate like that, even if the story's cool, but also has a lot of sexual content. So I guess people love that and dig that as well, but not me. I don't give a crap about stuff like that in a video game. I want video games to be video games, not because like I said, I'm watching a movie or because it has sexual content, because I'm an adult and I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it regardless. If it's there, it's there. If grave is not, I don't really care. But anyway, but it's funny because the reason why people doing this, obviously, is because the Xbox One X is around the corner. It's up in the horizon. It's about to come out soon. So, it seems like the media and every outlet that you can possibly think of that either are Sony based or Nintendo based or basically like to troll, or just haters, or they like to create clickbait, because that's basically why the media does what they does now, because it's a dying format. The media really isn't what it used to be. There's no really such thing as gaming media anymore, to the pure sense of the word, the way it was before. And that's one of the reasons that Adam Sessler left, because he was being forced to do things and review games, being monitored, which I believe that happened to him when he was reviewing the Assassin's Creed that came out. Not Black Flag. Yeah, I think it was Black Flag. It wasn't Rogue. It was Black Flag, when he was reviewing it for the PlayStation 4. And he said it and was vocal about it after he left, that he just didn't want to do it anymore. He was tired of how gaming journalism was going, and the differences and things like that. Not to say that he didn't have his own bias, because sometimes he didn't have biased reviews, which I didn't agree with him. And when you compare it to other reviews that he did with other games, in comparison, you realize, hey, listen, you're playing the double standard here. Which I've seen it, but it wasn't as something as commonplace as it is now with all the media. But the media is doing it because they want clicks to get views, especially if it's negative, because negative clicks right now is the most highest revenues that you're getting when you get your views. If you talk negative real quick about Xbox, woof, everything goes up, just like talking negative about Donald Trump. Well, everything he's doing, everybody, you get all those views real quick. So, it is what it is. And that's the unfortunate part of it. Because it shouldn't be that way, obviously. It should be pure and stay true to the sense of the word, and just be honest and open with everybody, regardless of what's popular or what's not, So anyway, to get to that point, that's the reason why they're doing that, basically because they just want to kind of kill off the hype, which is just not going to change anything, because once the console comes out, people are going to see what it does. People are going to see the differences with the games, how they perform, even simple things like how they load up or how they play, versus the competition, and it's going to speak for itself. People are not dumb. Even casuals are not dumb. They may not be as savvy in the gaming world as far as what gaming is, or where it came from, or where it stemmed from, or how important it's been to get to this point, and how hard it's been to get gaming to be looked at as a art form and a respected medium, even though it's still entertainment. They're never going to get that, but they're still not stupid when it comes to when they buy a product, the way that people may think, unless, of course, they're lied to and pushed the wrong information by the actual sellee, the guys that are selling them the bullshit, like in GameStop all the time. Like in my GameStop, all they have is guys and girls that work there that only like Sony. And when you ask them questions about Xbox, they don't even know anything about Xbox. They don't play on Xbox, which is a damn shame, because it's a video game store. So whoever they hire, they should make sure they're hiring people that know about each console or each prospective company, so that they can help their customers with a legitimate argument based on what they know from every console, or with the knowledge of that they know from every console. And they don't do that. So that shows you right there, because GameStop needs Sony more than they need Microsoft, because they're also a dying breed. They know that if they die out without Sony and without Nintendo, their revenues are not going to go up. They're going to go even lower and lower, because Microsoft has their own stores. So since they have their own stores, they're going to survive regardless. They don't really need a GameStop to sell their products and Xbox products. Plus the deals they do. You could have pre-ordered an Xbox One X in their store with no money down, as opposed to GameStop, you needed to put $100 down. You know what I'm saying? And why? If the pre-orders are there and it's not coming out till then. So that just goes to show you the differences between GameStop and Microsoft. Through their stores. When the Pro came out, you all you need to deposit, I think, was $50. That was it. Excuse me, guys. So that's just to give you a little perspective on it. So that's the reasoning behind that. So you're gonna still keep seeing negative press about Xbox. in any way, shape, or form. Things that happened like 9 years ago, to be honest, because they don't want the X to do well. They just want it to fail. They want it to fail because the darlings of gaming right now is Sony and now Nintendo with this Switch that you're paying all this money for and it doesn't have no software. It's playing games that were out on 360, on PS2, and they're all or the indie games that are on the marketplace for the Xbox and for the PSN network. So it's all a bunch of BS is basically. So that topic from just you take it with a grain of salt. It's too much of a big subject with too many variables to know really what went down. Plus, Obsidian's probably working on something now. And if they are working on something now, that's probably why it came up in the first place. Because, for what I understand in the article that they talked about, they were talking about very highly in regards of Microsoft that they're not bad people, but that there was too many things going on and too many people handling the decisions. So the other point I wanted to get to, I know I've been going on for already almost 11 minutes, but that was the most important thing that I had thought in my head was the whole situation with digital games. The importance of digital gaming and a disc on games and why it cannot die, okay? And why it's important to stay and be preserved, and not go away. Yes, I'm not saying digital gaming or downloading digitally is not a great advantage, because it is. It has a lot of good advantages, and a lot of good perks, from pre-ordering the game months or weeks before, not having to wait online, not having to wait to the following day to get the game, being able to play at 12 o'clock right away, not having to wait for the downloads, when you're downloading, because you have to install the disc to download it, and all that comes from, the consoles having to authenticate the ownership, that you're the owner and that you own the product and you're not, stealing it from somebody else or things of that nature. And like I've said many times, that digital, it's a really nice movement. It's a really nice thing. But the biggest downfall is that if you have any problems with your internet connection or internet distributor, or in this case, shout outs to Kaleidoscope, and J-Long, that they're out there suffering from, this hurricane tragedy, and, you have no power, because of the storm, or something goes wrong because the grids got shut down, you can't access none of your digital games, whether it is to give it an update, whether it is to get your achievements, whether it is to download it because you didn't download it or you forgot to download it and you got in the mood to play a game that you didn't play in a while or that you never got to, and so you finally want to play it and you realize it's digital and you have to download it and you can't, because a lot of games have updates, and in order for you to download them you need to update them first. Especially digitally, they only update or download with the update together. When you have the disc, you can actually skip the update and just play the game as is without the update. And this is a very, 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 very big thing. I know it's a very big con. And that con alone supersedes almost everything else that is valuable about digital and digital sale, digital content. Because, you want to preserve your games. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, yeah, but what about it worked with movies, with music? And look what happened. But music is different, because music was, you just download it into the hard drive, and the music didn't have to be updated. The music didn't have achievements. The music didn't have to have an authentication to make sure that you own the product, as opposed to gaming, yet you do. So music is very different. That's why music, it made sense and it took off and it made it very convenient. And it, the CD world is basically non-existence, even though it does exist, but it's non-existence. People that collect music CDs is more for the collector value, or to preserve it as a collection or in the collection because of preference, right? With games, that's not the way it is. With games, you have to have it. digitally, you have to have internet. You have to have connection. You have to have it for a lot of reasons, or they won't work. You won't have access to it unless even because they're downloaded on a server. And if they're streamed, like something like PSN now, it's even worse because then it will never work properly at all because you're not going to get the bit for bit quality of a disc, whether it's with a game, even with a movie, and it works for movies too because there's a couple of movies that I bought in 360 that guess what I never got access to again because they took them out of the store because of licensing issues. So even though I paid for them, I never was able to download them again. Giving a perfect example, the Matrix, the Animatrix, which was part of the lore of the Matrix world in Japanese anime style with 7 very world-renowned Japanese anime artists, and I was never able to get it back because they took it out the store and the licensing rights were taken away. And I paid for it. I paid like $15 at the time for the HD copy, and because I only had it on DVD. It never came out in a high definition format and only digitally. And I never got access to it again. So, again, this applies to movies as well. So for those you that want to argue that, no, you're wrong. And I'm telling you the reason why you're wrong. That you don't want to believe it or accept it, that's on you. It's just the facts. It is what it is. So, then they were touching up on, I heard them talk about that there's been ramblings that the digital sales are picked up on PlayStation, which is good. It's a good thing because that means people are buying games. It's good. It's good for the industry. But the truth behind it is if you look at it, the games they're buying digitally are like, Hellblade, okay. It's only available digital. You can't get it physical. So it would make sense that it's in the top 10 or top 5 or top 20. Why? Because Hellblade is only digital. Same thing with Superhot. Superhot VR. VR is not selling well. So the numbers don't really speak. Superhot could have sold maybe, I don't know, 1,000 copies this month alone. And that for them was probably a high number because 1,000 copies of the game was probably selling more than something like, let's say, Seasons of the Fall, which is a good game that just came out so long ago, and it doesn't seem like it's really selling. People are not really buying because it's already on sale even on Xbox. And the game's not even 2 months old, and it's already like $10. And it was a $25 game. So, those number things don't really count because NPDs are never going to give you an accurate number either. And neither is VG charts. They're only going to give you a guesstimation based on what's out in store, not what's in the digital market. Only Microsoft and Sony can see that. But they're not telling you the numbers either. And in Europe, they only buy that way as well because, the market in Europe for PlayStation is a lot more grandiose or a lot bigger than it is for, Xbox. Just like what they do, you try to compare it to Japan. In Japan, the Xbox, sells maybe 60 consoles units a week. And, PlayStation has like maybe 100,000 units or so a week. It's not even close. So to 63 units, you can't compare it. That's absurd to even bring it up because it doesn't even matter. But it has things like Ratchet and Clank or Uncharted in the top 5, of course, because those are their highest, their best quality games, number one, and number two is their highest selling games for their intellectual properties, because those are the games that are worth playing, quite frankly, and owning. Because Uncharted is the only quality game really that they have coming out of their camp, with the exception of maybe Horizon Zero Dawn, and that's also, for a niche crowd. Just like people that play Witcher or play something like Persona, and the same thing with Ratchet. It's a platformer. Platformers don't sell well, but Ratchet is doing well because it was the only platformer they did remaster for the third time, mind you, that was done properly. Like they did Gears of War properly, like they did Halo 1 and Halo 2 properly on Xbox, or Fable Legends, or Anniversary rather, for the first Fable. So that's why it's selling, because it was done properly, just like Crash. It was done properly. That's why it's selling. You got 3 games, reasonable price. They actually put work into it. People will pay for something as long as it's giving you your money's worth. So those numbers, don't really mean anything. Because the PlayStation Network is still very dangerous to trust because of the fact that their second step authentication doesn't exist, and their network, doesn't really have high security. It is what it is. So you take it as you will. So, I wanted to touch base because of that, because of saying how important, physical still is, because Kaleidoscope and J-Long and even Crack Gamer, they're suffering through this hurricane and they can't get access to their games. And the only reason they've been able to maybe get around that is because they have to use like a hotspot from their phone. Okay? And even when they got the hotspot from their phone, in the case of my man Kaleidoscope, he had to download something from the Xbox network, and it was something that was maybe 800 or 500 megabytes or kilobytes. It was something very small, the file, and it took him almost 3 hours, according to what he told me. That's a disgrace. That's horrible. So if you want to compare that to the reality of, if he just had the disc, he would have just put it in, it would have installed in the console like a normal install, and just played it, as opposed to, having to go through all that hassle. He couldn't even watch Netflix. He couldn't even use the disc driver to watch movies because it needed an update. And since the disc driver operates through the app, where it activates it, because that's where it gives it the update, because everything is app based, he couldn't even use it. It was like dead paperweight, and that's a damn shame. That is a shame, okay? And that was the whole argument back then. People were like, oh, but, DRM, with the Xbox, then we can't use it. It'll be that way. But now it's different. And they want to act, because digital's doing better, that it's the future. Digital will never be the future, ever. Or the only option. Not because it's not good, but because if people really want this, you're going to hurt yourself in the long run, because you're going to hurt your accessibility to your games, to your updates, to your achievements, and possibly even lose the game, because games like The Warrior, games like Voltron that were on the Xbox Marketplace, games like Sour Patch, games like Double Dragon, games like Afterburner, games like Outrun, the list continues. I can tell you a whole bunch, okay, are no longer existing in the marketplace because of licensing. And if you never remembered your password or you didn't have the right connection, you can never get it again. You can't download them, okay, because of licensing as well. Because licensing is another big issue. Because until they don't get that licensing corrected or the permission, you won't be able to access your games. So you want to pay for something that you have the possibility of losing it, to like you're giving away free money, and then you want to talk crap about these companies that they're stealing your money? No, you're allowing them to do it by only supporting one format, or one style of the format, which is digital. So again, I buy digital if the game is only available digital, because you have no control over it. Okay, but if I have the option and I can get it physical, that's what I do. I get it physical. And a lot of people that you guys may watch this video and may agree or may not agree with me. It'd be like, oh, you don't know shit. But it is what it is. It's the facts. I'm just telling you what it is. It's a fact. Physical distribution cannot die. And us as gamers cannot allow it to die. Don't look at it as, oh, it's bad. No, it's called options. It's called the reality of life. You can't rely on technology all the time because it's unreliable. Okay? Period. So to have it fit in a physical medium that you can preserve it and you are the one in control of it and you're the one who takes care of it is very different. Oh, that the disc got scratched, that's because you don't know how to take care of your stuff. It's that simple. Like, it's different if you drop it accidentally. Yeah, that could happen, absolutely. But in most cases, most adult gamers are not going to do that or don't go through that, all the time. That's a, once in a blue type of thing. And the Xbox thing with the red ring, when you flipped it over while it was moving, that's kind of common sense. Why would you move something while it's on and spinning? That was your dumb thinking. Unless somebody bumped in and fell over, that's different. That's an accident. It's just something that happens. That's pretty much where I stand. Physical medium needs to stay no matter what. And digital as well, because it's very convenient. But we need to think of this with a bigger, broader spectrum, because it's not that simple as just, oh, it's digital, it's all about digital, let's go. No, it really isn't, because then later on, it might bite us in the ass. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I feel about it. Guys, thank you for checking me out. Check me out at intromediagaming.com with my boy 100. With All Day Digital. With guys like like Hey Mega 405, and of course in my Facebook group at the World of Xbox with my man D-Rock, Dorian Bumpus, aka New Legal Felon, Andy Mackey, McKee, obviously, Microbox of X. All these great guys that are in the community that don't get enough love and props for what they do for the gaming community and bring to the YouTube scene. And shout out to my boy Chief and Merc and Kaleidoscope and J Long out there with the Hurricane. Stay safe, and and Ghost Rider, E-Rock, and Welch Gamer and Kenny Thomas, Big Kahuna. Obviously, I haven't heard from him in a while. Big K, Black Spartan, Vorsak, so many great guys, it's hard to remember them all. Sega Forever, E-Rock, the wonderful guys in the community that are like, Young Kano, that are great friends of mine and I've become great friends with, that I respect very much and love very much. Shout out to all you guys. If I miss anybody, NWO Prime, love NWO Prime. Please forgive me. It's not intentional. I am getting older. My diabetes made me forget shit. I'm sorry, but it's all from the heart. Like, comment, share, and subscribe this video or on my channel. Remember, if you subscribe, I'm very grateful, because I know you don't have to. But if you do, you become part of my family. If that's good, then it's all worth it just for that. And and then without you guys, I know my channel is nothing. Whether I have a little bit of subs or not is irrelevant. I know the ones who come to see me care about my content, and that's good enough for me. So Xbox for life, like a sickness that can't be cured. That's my saying. That's my slogan. Don't take it personal. Don't get triggered, people. It's just gaming. Enjoy it, and let's get ready for this Xbox One X launch, and hopefully we're gonna see a lot of beautiful things happening for gaming in general. Love you guys. Peace. Stay tuned.